The CCSQ CDR team has created many training materials for you to review when you have a question or are just interested in learning more. This video will demo each of the three interconnected resources that exist for educational purposes in our environment: Portal, Code Commons, and the Community Workspace. The first place we'll look at is Portal Training Hub. This is where articles about best practices or system changes are hosted, as well as videos and resources for live trainings. You can get to Portal by going to the CCSQ homepage and clicking My Portal under DNA Portal. From here, you can access your Portal charms as well as trainings. But first, I'm going to go to the Training Hub. Under Trainings, Training Hub. From here, you can see various charms for different kinds of training, but we're going to focus on Databricks training. New trainings are added here frequently. Trainings include micro trainings as well as knowledge base articles. This page is very active, so feel free to check back here frequently. Next, I'm going to go to News and Events, and I'll click Latest News and Events. This page is where announcements are made, and you can also check the calendar for upcoming live trainings. If you miss a live training, you can view past events here. News and Events, Past Events. Past event pages include notebooks, recordings, and related articles if available. For example, this recent training has a notebook linked as well as the recording of the live event. There are also often related articles to go with this event as a companion if you'd like to learn more. Next up, we have Code Commons. This is where you can find presentation content from training events and articles. You can access Code Commons by clicking the Code Commons charm in your My Portal page. You must be logged into Portal to access Code Commons, even if you access it from a different source, such as a bookmark. Code Commons contains 4 headers: articles, learning paths, presentations, and topical content. First, we have articles. Articles contains reference articles and best practices. These are articles simply written as a reference to our users. Then we have the learning path. The learning path is written in both R and Python for those just beginning their introduction to Databricks and the CDR environment. The learning path is made up of short, step-by-step articles that will fully onboard you to distributed computing in our Databricks environment. It is highly recommended for users newly onboarded to our environment to check out the learning path. Next, we have presentations. These are presentations that were live training sessions at one point. They include links to the original Training Hub page as well as their respective recordings. Our live trainings were either in a lecture-style format or as part of an interactive session, and that is how they are divided here. So for example, if I click Lectures and maybe this presentation, you can see that the link to the Training Hub event page and the original recording is presented right at the top, as well as other information about this presentation. Finally, we have topical content. Topical content does not contain any unique content, but it is all of the articles from these previous 3 headers divided by topic. So for example, this is where you would come if you want to read content related specifically to the CDR, Databricks, or Spark. Code Commons is a constantly evolving page with new pages added frequently. It's worth bookmarking this place and checking back for new content. Next, we're going to discuss the Community Workspace. The Community Workspace is accessible through Databricks, which you can access again through your My Portal page, and you click the Databricks charm right here. The Community Workspace has 2 components of interest that we'd like to discuss today. The first is the workspace location made up of notebooks. To get to that, I'm going to click Workspace at the top left. There's a workspace folder, which you can click the drop-down arrow. And here you'll see all of the workspaces you have access to. Everyone should have access to the CDR PSA community folder. And in here, there are again a few interesting folders. The one I want to focus on right now is the Code Commons Notebooks folder. So I'm going to click that. Code Commons Notebooks is the interactive equivalent of everything you see in Code Commons. The folders even match the dropdowns you'll find on Code Commons. For example, learning paths, Python and R, and here you can click anything you want. And here's the notebook that was associated with that file. These notebooks are automatically generated every time Code Commons is updated, which means that we keep them up to date with the latest best practices and library versions. And as such, some of the presentation notebooks might not match what was presented during that particular live training session. The goal of having these notebooks being available in this format is so that you may be able to clone them and run them yourself as part of your own training. You won't be able to modify what's currently here. The second aspect of the community workbench is the community schema. To get to the community schema, let's click Catalog at the top left here. And you should see CDR prod. Let's click that open. And then you'll see all of the schemas you have access to. Again, everyone should have access to the CDR PSA community schema. This schema is where the CDR team stores all of the tables that we have used for training purposes. So at the time of this recording, I see 63 tables. And in here, you'll see some familiar tables for tutorials such as the famous Diamonds dataset, as well as some other simulated datasets that we've used for our training, such as the department revenue and department names tables. That is the sole purpose of the schema, is to host training data, and as such, there is no PII or PHI to be found in here. So you can use these tables for anything that you might like. All right, we've seen the community workspace in two parts, the Code Commons Notebooks folder, as well as the CDR PSA community schema. In this video, we reviewed the three locations where CDR training materials are stored: Portal, Code Commons, and the community workspace. Thank you for watching, and good luck in your training.